Now, I just want you to know that that burns within me, and as I have on the back of my brochure pointed out, there are 7 guiding principles that I would like you to consider that are really, that I believe to the core, and these principles will guide me as I face pressure from all sides, including special interests and lobbyists, while I represent you in Congress. Now I'm going to take just 1 minute to point out that on the table in the back, we have more information about how my opponent in this race has a very liberal voting record in the Senate. He is the chief sponsor, the sponsor for the DREAM Act for Pennsylvania. It's not a Democrat, it's not a liberal Republican from down in the Southeast. It's our Senator Smoker in Lancaster County who is sponsoring the DREAM Act for Pennsylvania, which means that illegal immigrants get to have subsidized education on the college level at our expense. He also voted against penalizing sanctuary cities. He voted to expand Obamacare into Pennsylvania. He voted for the Rendell budget. He voted for the tax hike of $2.3 billion, gas tax hike, just last year. My time is up. It's been a pleasure. I want to thank you, Sam, for letting me have a few minutes. And please, before you head out tonight, come on back to that table, and I'd love to meet each of you individually. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck. Up next, we have Al McMinn.
I have the pleasure of introducing State Representative Mark Gillen tonight. He is the representative from the 128th District, and he is a true conservative. He is a loyal patriot, and he is the best friend that I have. And I just want to welcome him tonight, and I want you all to welcome him tonight, and whoever you have, friends, relatives, yourself, in 128, I need you to vote for Mark Gillen. Of course he is unopposed, so, but come out and vote for him anyway. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'm the best friend you have. Just a shortage of good friends. All right, well, I appreciate that. You know, we often honor the oldest veteran in the room. Tonight we're going to find who the youngest veteran in the room is. Okay, if you're a veteran under 30 years of age, could you stand up, please? You have to be under 30 years of age and veteran. Oh boy, this is going to be tough. Rod, you sit down, please. Under 40 years of age and veteran. Raise your hand or say, okay. Under 50 years of age and a veteran. This is, you know, I know we got a lot of senior veterans here. Under 60 years of age, stand up if you're a veteran. We got somebody in the back. How old? All right. First of all, let's give them a round of applause. How old they are. All right. It's always nice to have younger veterans. Okay, how old we got here? I had to think about that, all right? He likes this pin. All right, 51. Back there? 41, and over here, 56. Okay, you have to run up if you're 41 and get this pin, because I get it back up on the stage here. All right, round of applause for this young man. All right. I am on the Veterans Affairs and Emergency Preparedness Committee in the State House of Representatives, and I don't need to go up there. I just started, is a Red Eagle, do they have a representative here tonight? No, they don't. Okay. I started a 501c3. We're gonna have don't you think it's about time we had a Veterans Museum in Berks County? I think it's time. And we're gonna do it. And William Cook and Associates has agreed to work with me. Tomorrow morning, I'm running over to Audubon, and hey Chad, and I'm going to meet with Pat Mascaro, and we're gonna see if we can raise some money in our own community. I am so confident in this that we put $3,000 down on a historic building already. So we're not waiting for somebody else to do something. We're going to do it because we got 30,000 veterans in this community. We got supporters of the veterans community. We're going to do it right here in Berks County. Sir.
I will match whatever this crowd gives tonight, if they give it tonight. Is that fair enough?
That's fine with me. I got. All right, Ron, you're gonna have to figure out how that happens, okay? Because I don't have a hat to pass around here. All right, so Rod, maybe we should do this the right way. Channel it through the organization, have the organization make a donation to the C3. Does that make sense? We're gonna let, and then you can let Chet know that we raised more than $50,000. Okay, just let him know. All right, but to get closure on this, Rod, are you comfortable with putting a box or something in the back there? And then we'll run it through your organization rather than me arriving at William Peck and Associates with all that $50,000 of loose change. We don't want, Rod's going to let us know before I finish here. All right, commonly asked questions about firearms in Pennsylvania. We have the brochure back there. If you're interested, biblical quotations in the Pennsylvania State Capitol building and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And being completely politically correct, you know my motto, God, guns, and girls. Okay? You mess with my girls. I have 5 daughters and a wife, so there's no confusion why I say that. You mess with my girls, you get to see that I have guns, and you'll have the opportunity to meet God all in one fell swoop. And we have targets in the back. Being wholly politically incorrect, I have a quote from the Pennsylvania Constitution on the bottom of the target: the right of citizens to bear arms in defense of themselves and the state shall not be questioned. Shall not be questioned. As a matter of fact, we're having a permit to carry seminar. I mailed the entire district. People are going to like, folks are going to get nervous when they get this on the mail. And what are you going to say when somebody calls? I said, watch. You know, you could be nearby when I take the first phone call. Mr. Gillen, on the brochure, you seems like you're promoting gun ownership, and I know that's not what you're doing. No, I said that's what I am doing, okay? Unless there be any confusion. I said, ma'am, are you questioning the right to bear arms in Pennsylvania? She goes, yeah, I most certainly am. I said, well, I'm going to cut you a break this time, but what you're doing is against the law. It is against the law in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to question the right to bear arms, and you've just broken the law. This may help you. Pennsylvania Yellow Dot program. We have a booklet for you. You're driving, you have an accident. I'm an emergency medical technician. I come over, I help you out. But it looks like there's some sort of a medical problem that may have induced the accident. I'd like to learn a little bit more about you. I noticed this sticker is here. If you go on the back windshield of your car, we have a few of these packets back there. I noticed you've got the yellow dot on the back windshield. We reach in your glove box and we find your medical condition, recent surgeries, emergency contact, and there's a place for a picture. We know it's you. You may have your medicines attached to this as well. It even has the hospital of your preference listed. And I put an addendum on my form. I don't want any Obamacare in any form. No, I didn't do that. But we can't guarantee that you're going to get the hospital of your choice, particularly if you choose something out of state. All right? But it is there. This is for you. They're back at our table. Everything that we have is free, just on a Thursday. Diane, are you going to match something over here, Diane? What's going on?
501c3 allows them to deduct what they give.
Here tonight.
Here tonight, so donate big.
I thought 50,000. We're going to 75,000 tonight with this crowd. Okay. My wife is here tonight. Honey, make sure the metal detector is installed in the back. All right. Nobody's getting out tonight with any change left in their pocket. We voted a budget yesterday. If you've read media accounts, you would think that we haven't passed a budget. We passed a budget when we were constitutionally obligated to pass a budget back in June of 2015. The governor claims that he's going to veto this budget again. By the way, he line items selectively. And what he does is he chooses items that will result in the most people screaming. So he allows the 23 billion to go through the 30, but then he lines items out, sections out of the education funding. He takes sections out of agriculture. We've asked why, no lucid reason has been given. And he takes money out of corrections. Now, I was a correctional officer, and the prison doesn't close on weekends or for vacations. You gotta have 24/7 in the prison. He knows all right well that that's not gonna stick, all right? So he has the veto pen, and he uses that line item veto selectively to hold as many hostages as he possibly can have. But something happened yesterday on the State House floor when we voted for education funding for the Penn State universities of the world, the Pitt, and the Temples. We needed 2/3 to override his veto. We needed 135, which is 2/3 last I checked of 203. We got 145. So if he goes ahead and vetoes that, all right, and it comes right back to his desk with a similar number of votes, we're going to have what we need to override his veto. I happen to be in just the right spot in the back of the State House of Representatives, and as soon as that vote was over, the Democratic Party whip had a list of those Democratic members who had voted with us. And he called them off the floor one at a time, and there was a representative from the governor's office to meet them back there. The governor doesn't want Penn State funding, he doesn't want Pitt funding, he doesn't want funding for correctional officers, doesn't want funding for education. What he wants is something that he's never going to get from this representative. He wants a tax increase to spend more money. And if we have a structural deficit, like he says we have a structural deficit, and if you're running a deficit in your household, you don't try to figure out how to spend more money. You try to figure out how you're going to spend less money. And he wants to spend more than we've ever spent before. And ladies and gentlemen, that tax increase won't be a tax increase because we're talking about the 2015-16 budget moving forward alone. No, this will be a retroactive tax increase. And if I was never going to vote for a tax increase, I guarantee you, never, ever, ever will I be coming back from Harrisburg to my house to report that I voted for a retroactive tax increase. And you know why? They'd have it's unconstitutional, and my wife and my 5 daughters would have locked me out of the house. Are you clapping for them or me? All right, they told me I've got a minute here. All right? And they got a plan to collect your money. Let me say a word, since I had not planned on collecting any of your money tonight. We put a down payment on a historical building in Moton Borough. We have a 501c3. I never touch. I never see the money. This will be as close as I get to it. We don't have any employees. A brief story of inspiration. When I came into office 5 years ago, I was put on the Veterans Affairs Committee. They made me an officer of the committee. I began to collect the stories of veterans, and then eventually I began to interview veterans. And I met Pearl Harbor survivors, and I met survivors of Iwo Jima, and I decided I was going to tape them. And not long ago I met Everett Keffer. He lives in Kumru Township. And he began to tell me his story as we were outside visiting. He was on PC 1261. He was at Normandy in June of '44. And history records that when that Nazi shell hit his ship, it was the first ship to be sunk during the Normandy invasion. He was blown out of his boat. It's on YouTube, by the way. the interview that I did with him. He was blown out of his boat into the English Channel, and he would have drowned there were it not for a deceased comrade from the same boat floating by with his life jacket, because Everett's had been ripped off by the force of the explosion. And he bobbed in the English Channel for 2 hours, and he spent 2 years recuperating in hospitals in England and the United States of America. And there was a day when they wheeled him over to the White House, and he met Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I'm telling you this story for one very important reason. Everett's in declining health, and I sat in his living room not many weeks ago. I said, Everett, that story that we recorded, we had edited. Had you ever told that story before? He goes, parts of it, Mark. I said, had it ever been recorded? He said, no. I said, Everett, not only, by the way, I brought him a DVD. He said, what am I supposed to do with this? 97 years old. I said, come by our office, we'll play it over there. I said, not only are we going to make sure that you get a copy of it on something that you can play it on, but we're going to make sure generations of Berks Countyans and Americans hear your story. And I shared with them the vision that we had for the museum. I want to say God bless you for being here. We had a number of veterans in this room, young and old. This isn't about me. Most people think that I'm crazy for doing this because I got enough on my plate already. But I want to tell you something, folks. This is what runs through my veins. This is what motivates me. This is what inspires me. Because I grew up with a man who, when he was 17 years of age, got his mother's signature, and he became an aviator in the United States Navy and endured kamikaze attacks in the South Pacific. But there was a day of victory. Finally, on September 2nd, 1945, my dad had the opportunity to overfly the USS Missouri at the end of the Second World War. We want your memories preserved. We want Everett's memories preserved. We want my dad's memories preserved. And we shouldn't have to drive halfway across the state to see it, experience it, and enjoy it. Stay tuned. We're going to have a Veterans Museum in Berks County. God bless you.
Thank you, Mark. I don't know where Mark gets all the energy from. We can always count on him. Fantastic. Folks, we've been deviating from our planned program this evening. We had some technical problems. I apologize for that. This is another deviation. We happen to have here Stan Castasio. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. He's here. I decided, talking to other people, we would give him 2 minutes to speak. He's running against Pat Meehan. He also will be here next month. There's so many things I can read about him, but let him do that in his 2 minutes. Stan, welcome.
Thank you for letting me speak for a few minutes. First off, my name's Stan Castasio. Happy St. Patty's Day to all of you, any of you Irish. I'm running in the 7th district, one of the most gerrymandered districts in the United States. I think it's ranked 4th. Someone described it as Goofy kicking a dinosaur. And if you look at it, that's what it looks like, believe it or not. Anyhow, the reason why I'm running, I don't know if any of you were down in Washington in 2010, April of 2010, when we, a spur-of-the-moment thing, everybody got together, went on a train. I just had to get down there because we were so frustrated as to what happened with Obamacare and everything else. It seemed like no one cared about what the people thought. And I experienced that, and I got home and I was so happy. I said to my wife, wow, we really did something. We said something, we made a showing, and then I turned on the news and it said, only 50,000 people were there. And I go, what? But from the Washington Monument to the Capitol was a sea of people. And the cops told me there had to be well over 100,000 people, 200,000 people there. Right then and there, I knew we were in trouble. And I gotta tell you, got me to do this, when people ask me to run for Congress, and I'm a businessman, I have a full-time job.